Steve Alcorn's a fine investigator. What he's doing with this Chris dude, I have no idea.
I gave her cigarettes for our anniversary one year.
Well, there you go. That's fucking romantic.
She didn't like gifts. I said, well, I want to get you something. What do you want? Let's give me a couple packs of cigarettes. So I wrapped them up and gave them to her.
Yeah, have some lung cancer.
You got a dead Bigfoot that's just been shot, hanging upside down in a tree. Though Meldrum was also careful to note, it's not a course about Bigfoot.
It's a course about Fozzie Bear. Who's Fozzie Bear? Some say his father was half grizzly. Nobody believed he was real. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a Muppet. To me, that was better than being president of the United States.
They upped my meds last night, so anything's possible. We're laughing at a story about dead people. I can't explain it, but it sure makes me feel like the spirits are happy.
I mean, I guess you could say it might have been somebody's hand moving real quick, but it's not a fucking ghost.
The jury's still out on that.
See, your hoaxes come at you with smiles. They come as your friends.
Pope Francis says doggy heaven is real, so your dog has a soul.
Ah, so now the dogs can hang out with the pedophiles.
Not Benedict, Francis, Pope Francis.
No, I'm just guilt by association, Steve.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's what they say when they talk about me and you.
Yeah, there you go. Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode 77. The fuck are you, Alcorn?
I'm right here, man. I was just enjoying your Karen B impersonation.
Tonight is the Here Kitty Kitty episode. Steve wanted to take a look at big cats in America or all over?
Well, all over, really.
Big cats all over.
Big cats. You know, where they're not supposed to be and stuff.
Where they should not be residing.
Right.
And the conspiracies that may or may not be covering these instances up.
The conspiracies that are covering these instances up.
Now, I'm not a huge cat conspiracy fan.
It's a big thing, Chris.
Yeah, according to you, I guess it is. This is what you've told me. I mean, I do live in a state where we do have quote-unquote mountain lions. And you know, I've never seen one in the wild. Personally, I've never seen one,
right,
you know, walking around. I know they do exist here in this state in much more rural areas and not as populated areas. But, you know, I see all kinds of different fucking creatures here, so it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they were around.
Yeah, the state of Maine confirms the existence of mountain lions and other big cats, I'm assuming.
Well, at least mountain lions. Bobcats, I think, too.
Right. Well, bobcats are pretty plentiful in a lot of states, but...
Yeah, and they're not exactly that big. I mean, you know, I wouldn't...
No, and they're not that rare.
I wouldn't want one fucking, like, jumping on my fucking head or anything, but...
Well, I come from the state of Pennsylvania, original, and now I'm in the state of Ohio, and both states claim that there's no confirmation of any mountain lion or anything like that residing in either state. Now, I think some places in PA might still have them, but in my area is what I'm trying to get at. But yet, people are having sightings of these things all the time. So the question is well, in Pennsylvania, it's the Game and Fish Commission, I think, and over here it's the Department of Natural Resources. Are they just saying we don't have these so people aren't scared, or are these cats really there and they're covering it up? That's the question.
Didn't you just say the same thing?
Probably.
Twice?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to check because I'm pretty
I
sure
lose track.
you said it one way, and then you turned around and said it the exact same way, only different. So I just wanted to make sure.
Are they covering it up, or do these things, in fact, exist, but is there not enough evidence to support the fact that they exist, even though perhaps the Fish and Game or the Department of Natural Resources or whatever it is in whatever particular state says they don't exist, but they know it, or that kind of thing. There's just not enough evidence.
Well, we know that there's one-offs in just about every type of instance. I mean, you always have instances of, hey, this like pet escapes, and especially with people now having big cats as pets, or monkeys or apes of any kind, and then they can't control them, or they break free of whatever, and then they're out in the world, just to mingle as they see fit. And then you might see, this cat here because this dumbass tried to have a tiger. You have instances like that, which we know happen.
Right. And there was a guy here in Ohio. It was not in my area, but it was downstate. He had a bunch of, big cats and other animals. And one day he just lost it and let them all go. So in that instance, I agree that sort of thing could be. I'm not sure if all of them were ever accounted for, to be honest with you. So in that area of the state, yeah, they could have, a pet. But like around here, I myself have seen the big, large cat prints, and I'm talking huge, not domestic cat, way too big to be any sort of domestic dog, even the biggest dog you can think of that would be domestic. And it was definitely a cat print. I got photographs of some of them. There was actually 2 different cat prints, and on 2 different occasions. And this is in an area where that was in Pennsylvania, but it was right on the Pennsylvania Ohio border. And it's in an area where there aren't supposed to be any. Pennsylvania Game Commission denies the fact that they're there. Ohio Department of Natural Resources, I can read right now, they deny the fact that there's any big cats anywhere in Ohio. Not bobcats, but mountain lions, panthers, that kind of thing, Official statement on big cats in Ohio is last summer, an off-duty this was from OCJ.com, and this was from 2014. Last summer, OCJ officer spotted what he believed to be a mountain lion in Jefferson County. Nothing ever came of it. After his reporting sighting, no photo snapped by local residents, nothing pre or post by the officer, no trail cam photos, no scat, no hair, no fur, blah, blah, blah. So they say they have a large population of protected bobcats, which sometimes people can confuse with cougars, mountain lions, or whatever, but they have only unconfirmed reports of sightings over the years, but never anything concrete. And they say concrete data would include photos or scat or tracks or whatever. So are people really seeing these big cats? That's, I guess, the real question. And the second question is, have they really found this stuff and are just protecting us with the knowledge? Again, they don't want us to know. Well, and why wouldn't they want us to know?
In most instances, if you or I go out in the woods and we were to come across a large cat, in most instances, those cats are the kinds that we would find around in the United States. They're not going to bother us for the most part. Barring like your instances where you're acting like, there's an issue with you and you're straggling behind from the group or something, or you're making yourself a prey animal or seem like prey, which can also elicit those responses from the big cats. And David Batdorf and I have talked about this before. When you're in these areas, when you're in the animal's territory, taking the stance of, making sure that you're prepared to be in that area. Being loud, making noise, alerting the animals to your presence. They don't want to be around us for the most part.
No.
And so, but people have an innate fear, there's a cat attacking people. So, I can kind of get why Fish and Game or the government or whatever entity would try to cover up that shit, because not that, people are going to get mauled all over the fucking place by cats, but
it's the belief that they will.
Right. It's the fact that it would hurt, tourism or whatever. Now, do I buy into that? I don't know.
I don't know either. In Pennsylvania, we'll go back to Bigfoot. They don't want anything to do with Bigfoot. If you report a Bigfoot sighting to, Fish and Game or Wildlife Commission or whatever it is, they don't want to hear it. No, it can be anything but Bigfoot or a large cat. In Ohio, they, kind of go with the Bigfoot thing because they realize that it'll bring more tourists, because they don't really probably believe there's such a thing, but you know what I mean? It brings people to their state parks and whatever. But the large cat thing, because of the reputation of these cats, and, on occasion they'll attack a hiker or somebody riding a bike on a trail or whatever, I can see a reason why the state would deny that they would exist, in places they're not supposed to be. But from personal experience, I know, and now I didn't see one. They're very stealthy. You almost never see them, even when there's a large population of them, just like, a lot of other animals, but they're one of the most stealthy, and they have a huge area that they roam. So you're probably not going to get a game trail picture of them or whatever. Or you're probably never going to find their scat. I mean, I'm not sure if mountain lions or panthers or anything like that cover their scat like a house cat, but I'm guessing they do. Because of that, the reputation that these cats have had, I think that the state would be smart sometimes to, hey, there's no confirmation of this, so we're just going to sweep it under the rug until there is. Because if I'm out in the woods as a deer hunter, for example, I don't hunt, but I know a lot of people who do. If they know that there's a big cat in that area, they might just, shy away from that area. And that's state dollars that's not getting collected. So I guess that's why some of these states deny it, even though there are trail cam photos of some of these, and maybe not scat or tracks cast, but we see photos all the time of big cats. Our friend Mr. Poling did a breakdown on a photo of a big cat. It turned out to be a house cat, but whatever,
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that they're gonna be. You're gonna find them out there. Like I said, you're gonna find the one-offs for sure. And it's gonna happen with all kinds of different types of animals. An escaped ape, whatever. People are gonna mistake it for something else. An escaped big cat. They might, that might not be mistaken for something else, but just being seen in the wrong area might be holy shit,
Well, and if you just let's say you just catch a glimpse of it out of the corner of your eye, it could be a bobcat, it could be an ordinary house cat, but you're catching it out of the corner of your eye, and it might look bigger to you. And I think the breakdown that Phil did, are we still calling him Bob?
You can call him whatever the fuck you want.
All right. The breakdown that Phil did, kind of proved that it was a house cat. So it's our perspective of some of these things sometimes. However, I followed these tracks. They were as big around in my hand, and I got a big hand. And they were following a set of deer tracks. So there was some large cat following a deer. And it was very close to a populated area. I'm not the only one in this area who's claimed to see that. There's a guy I work with. So yeah, they roam Conneaut Creek there's one that roams Conneaut Creek all the time. Well, Conneaut Creek's just, half a mile from a house. So is it there? Or am I imagining these tracks that I saw?
I think you're imagining it, much like you did the fucking frog that jumped across your living room.
No, the frog. It did. It jumped off the TV.
I think you guys were doing some really bad acid.
That's a whole nother show, Chris.
I'm fairly sure. I think you guys got dosed. That's what I
But
think.
and then the thing about the big cats is there was a second instance, and I did get photographs. The first, I didn't have plaster with me either time. I wasn't out Bigfoot researching or anything. I was out metal detecting both times. So I didn't have plaster with me or anything like that to cast. Damn it, I wish I did. But I didn't. But there was a second instance. Now, it was a smaller print, but it was definitely feline, just like the first prints, in an area where they're not supposed to be. It's a state protected game lands is what it is on the Pennsylvania side. And then it's the town on the Ohio side owns the property. There's like several hundred acres or more. There's quite a few, probably 1,000 acres of wooded area on either side of the state line. So it's a big area for a cat to roam. And if there's a solitary one, you're never going to actually see the thing. So it's all going to be circumstantial. Now, the UK, for example, has 100, I think it was 100 a month reported sightings in 2013. 100 big cat sightings a month. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's quite a few.
And they're not supposed to be there. In the UK, and all the places in the UK deny the existence of them. So why?
I don't know. Are there alligators in the sewers?
That's what I've been told. They deny that too, though. They did a documentary on the Discovery Channel, I believe it was, a few years ago, about alligators in the sewers. And at the end, they never found an alligator. They don't exist, that kind of thing. Now, there was maybe a one-off, like you said, with the pets and things. On a rare occasion, somebody might flush one down a toilet or something like that. But I don't think you're going to get an alligator to go down very far. Because when people get rid of their alligator as a pet, it's when it starts getting big. So it's probably not going to fit down the toilet anyway. But yeah, I think, that sort of thing does happen, but it can be accounted for. I'm trying to, the unaccounted things. No escape pets.
Are
flushing your
there,
alligator down the toilet.
what the question that you're asking is there a viable population of some of these big cats in areas where Fish and Game is saying that they're not?
Well, according to Ohio, there's no big cats anywhere in the state. So obviously to them, there is no viable population. Can there be? Well, big cats have a huge territory. I mean, a huge territory. So
right.
There could be one in my area and one 50 miles away, a breeding pair, I don't know whether or not my cat is hacking up a lung.
That's awesome.
Yeah. See, she knew I was doing a show about cats tonight, so she came in to tell me how good the show was. But anyway, so unlike other animals that have to be located within a real close vicinity to each other to be a breeding pair, maybe the cats don't because they have such a huge territory. And I think a lot of the males are solitary until it's mating season and they find their, that kind of thing. So is it possible? Absolutely. In fact, I know it is because I've seen the tracks. And it's not like the Thunderbird thing where I only heard it and Bigfoot evidence that, you see a tree break or anything like that. I seen the fucking footprints. They were there. So
nobody could have put them there.
I don't think people actually hoax mountain lion footprints, do they?
They could.
Maybe they do.
It's possible.
Well, at first I thought, these people have these giant dogs. I seen one yesterday, Newfoundlands or whatever they are. The biggest dogs, the real big house dogs or house pet dogs or whatever.
Yeah, I have an English Mastiff.
Right. And they got a huge foot. But this thing was fucking as big around as my hand. So, and that was a feline print and not a canine print. So, and yes, I do know the difference, Chris. I did the research after I seen the print because I didn't know, well, maybe somebody's just out walking their giant, huge dog and there just happened to be deer tracks in the same line, but it wasn't. And this wasn't in the woods. This was right on the side of the fucking road. It had rained the night before So the tracks were plain as day. You could tell it had happened either that day, earlier that day, or, maybe perhaps the night before after the rain.
Right.
It was fresh. So, but there's not supposed to be any here. And that's the dilemma. Am I making it up? Am I seeing things? And you know me, I don't want to hoax anything. I don't want to make claims that don't actually happen, but it's fucking big giant cats in an area where they're not supposed to be. Now, we're not, the mountains or anything here. We're right on Lake Erie. I mean, there's no supposed to be any population. So that's the whole thing, and that's what I wanted to talk about because I've had a personal experience with it. And
Yeah,
I bet
I've never had any. I've never had
an
an experience with any cats. I mean, I've seen the fucking things. There's a local. I guess you'd call it a zoo. They call it an animal farm. But we took the kids.
George Orwell.
Yeah, we took the kids at one point, and they have, of course, they got the mountain lions there, and they've got
Right.
moose and all that other bullshit. But I've never seen one out in the wild. I've lived here, pretty much my whole life, and I've always lived in extremely rural areas.
Right.
I live in the fucking woods, so.
Well, where I seen the prints was rural-ish. I mean, I wouldn't call it an extremely rural because right over the state line, after you get out of that wooded area, which is maybe a couple thousand acres or whatever, is the city of Conneaut where I live.
But
so
we gotta remember though, there's no boundaries out in the world. Like there's no
Right.
fences. And animals don't have any regard for what we put up to stop them or anything like that. So for us to say that over time populations can't change in areas and we're always finding animals in places that they shouldn't be, or we're finding new animals that we had no fucking clue about, or any of that. It just all points to that it could happen, and it could be happening. Whether or not there's a conspiracy, that's a complete different question.
I don't think I'd actually call it a conspiracy. Maybe a concern for the safety. I can't call it a concern for the safety of the citizens because if there were mountain lions in the area that are not supposed to be, I think you'd want to alert the citizens because then, if somebody gets attacked out there and you knew it, there's going to be a shit storm, Yeah. Of course, the government is above and beyond reproach anyhow, according to themselves. But so I don't know what much you could do about it, but I think you'd want to alert the citizens. Now, if they're afraid of, let's say there's one solitary cat that roams this area, maybe chances are he's not going to bother anybody because he just wants to live and, be away from people.
Right.
So chances are he's not going to bother you. So yeah, he might be here, but we're going to tell you he's not because there's quote unquote no solid evidence, even though the tracks show up from time to time. And I'm sure the scat does. And I'm sure, there's been a few trail cam photos of them, but yet they're going to deny it until somebody hits one with a car or somebody gets attacked or whatever, because there is no, to them, solid evidence. Just like Bigfoot or anything else or any other, animal that's not supposed to be in a place that it actually is. But like you said, they turn up all the time. What was it? The Wolverine turned up somewhere that it wasn't supposed to be, and now it's a documented fact that it's there. So,
and we can't, we don't. There aren't enough people out in the woods, fucking cataloging everything, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be, in its nice tight little box.
Right.
Shit changes. So, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, but do I see any? Do I personally think there's any type of like cover up going on? I don't know. I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I don't. I guess I don't buy into it too much.
Well, like I said, it may not be so much of a cover up as a let's not, alarm people.
Right.
Type
Well,
thing.
just like let's not say anything. Let's just not talk.
We know they're there, but we're not going to say it until something happens that we have to say it. You know,
Because
we got to protect our hunting.
It's under the
license
under the
dollars.
percentage where we're willing to go. Yeah.
Right. Well, I was talking to people before that have worked with Fish and Game or whatever, and the red tape to declare a species in this area is there's so much of it. And that could be the whole thing. You know, why they don't want it. There's so much fucking red tape to go through for them. The costs are astronomical just to declare that, okay, this species is here. So if it's not a known species. So it could be just a matter of funding. You know, they don't want to say anything because, hey, now it's going to cost a lot more money. And now we got to protect this area and we got to protect that area. And we can't have logging here and we can't have hunting here. And we can't have tourism over here because there's a mountain lion there, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so I can see for that purpose, if you want to call that a cover up or a conspiracy, then I guess there might be. But, and I think that's what would really actually be going on. And I think it is going on, but I can't prove it.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Steve, do you have any news?
I always have news. Hey, our first story, Chris, is from the same man who gave us the decaying human footprint passed off as a foot passed off as a fucking Bigfoot. Now we've got Catman. Hey, that goes right along with our story, except it's like kind of a cat and a kind of a man. That's cool.
I guess though, according to everybody, that decaying foot was a bare foot.
It could be. It did look like there was some clothes or something on it. I mean, it really did.
I was talking with Matt the other day, and I guess that's an old photo.
It came out, I think, originally at least a year ago, but I think I've heard back to 2008 even. So,
but yeah, either or, whether or not it was a barefoot or a human foot, people trying to pass it off as a Bigfoot foot is fucking stupid on all cases.
Well, and there was and on that note, before I get into this Catman story, there was a video posted today of a Bigfoot caught outside of a tent. No, not the infamous tent video, another tent video. Now, do I think the same person's behind it? No. But what they did, and it's probably CGI or a costume or whatever, who cares? But what they did is used a fake name, and you can't follow up these stories. Well, it was the same in the barefoot or the human foot or whatever it was. Same thing. It's not their real names. It was a friend of a friend who sent this picture. The Men in Black confiscated everything. Fucking bullshit. And that's my commentary on that shit.
Good times.
Oh, news. Yeah. Week in Weird. Greg Newkirk. Every town has its own local legends, stories of mysterious creatures that become the fodder for whispered conversations around campfires or bar stools. Some like the legend of the Jersey Devil. You like the Jersey Devil, Chris?
I love me some Jersey Devil.
Yeah. Some of that kind of stuff gains national attention, while other tales, such as that of the Burlington Boogeyman, rarely leave the communities of their origins. One such local legend has long been a secret held by the town of Greencock, Scotland. The mysterious rat-eating
Sure you don't want to stop and laugh at that some more?
The scenic fishing town of Greencock, just 25 miles west of Glasgow, prides itself on its rich maritime history, its spot among Scotland's top 50 walking trails, and its beautifully restored Victorian buildings. In fact, it's long been considered one of the most lovely towns in the country. But when the sun sets, Chris, and night has descended upon its shores, the residents of Greencock know that something is creeping in the darkness, watching them silently as they hurry back to their homes. You picked the story just because it had Greencock in it, didn't you?
No.
No? Okay.
Actually.
For many years, the only evidence of the Catman were secondhand tales.
Unlike you, I'm not fucking
darkness.
12.
Yeah, I know. I can't help myself. I led a sheltered life. I'm just now coming out of my shell, and all this stuff kind of makes me giggle. For many years, the only evidence of the Catman were secondhand tales of glowing eyes in the darkness, or a friend who swears he seen a black figure crawl out of their drainage pipe, a dying rat dangling from its jaws. To some, the Catman was a cryptozoological beast, the last of its kind, living on the edges of society. To others, the legend of the Catman was the work of local pranksters intent on scaring the drunks stumbling out of the pub at night. That sounds fun. Anyway, in the late 2000s, a pixelated video, of course, captured on a cell phone changed all that. The Catman was real. Now, the clip showed that Catman wasn't some kind of undiscovered monster, but a human after all. As the cameraman spoke to him, Catman lifted a dead rat to its face, black with soot and dirt, and bit into it. The disturbing image somehow disarmed by Catman's gleeful thumbs-up gesture. This sounds like a fucked up video.
Sounds like a fucked up dude.
Yeah, he's a cat man. He's eating a rat,
No,
and then he gives
he's
you a
just
thumbs
a
up.
fucking fucked up dude. He's not a cat man.
Well, he probably isn't a cat man. The clip showed that Catman wasn't some kind of undiscovered monster, but a human after all. And I already read that line. Damn it, Skyla's got me all messed up because now I'm, yeah. As you can imagine, the video was passed around between the youth of Greencock, becoming a hot topic of local discussion before being uploaded to the internet, where it quickly became the talk of message boards and email chains. I haven't heard of message boards and email chains for years. Holy shit. The Greencock Social Work Department even took notice of the video, telling the local papers that they'd sent one of their caseworkers out searching for him, though they wound up empty-handed. Of course.
Meow.
I'm supposed to... Catman is definitely real. He gave me a hell of a fright the first time I saw him. It was just getting dark, and this is an eyewitness account.
Yeah, kitty, man.
All I saw were his eyes. His face is totally black, like in the video. He would lie at Scott's Lane path in the bushes of the fence, pointing at cat meat.
Kitty, man.
I'm wondering, Chris, is it actually a human, like you said, a drunk guy, or is it actually a cat man?
No, it's just
man that
it's
looks
just
like
a
cat.
homeless drunk guy.
Eating rats because that's all they can eat.
Why not?
When you're homeless and drunk. But anyway, you can read the rest of the story over at the Week in Weird blog by Greg Newkirk. Our second story from iflscience.com. 7 teeny tiny species of frogs are discovered in Brazil. So we got new frogs, Chris.
Kermit the Frog here.
That would be cool if we could get Kermit to do a news story on frogs and stuff. That would be awesome. Frogs probably don't normally elicit an "ah" response, but there is just something about teeny tiny things that make them utterly adorable. The weenie species, weenie, plus 6 more were all discovered recently following an arduous 5-year hunt in the Brazilian Atlantic rainforest, with some adults not exceeding a
When your girlfriend like shows you her boobies, do you like fucking lose your fucking mind?
No, I'm all adult when I'm with her.
All right.
I
I just wanted to check.
Chris.
I just wanted to know if she drops her drawers and you like come in your pants.
What was that, American Pie? The guys just barely did, the girl's dancing in front of him and he fucking comes. It's funny. I actually seen a movie, Chris. One. The microamphibians all belong to a group, and yes, I do go wild when she shows me things like that. The microamphibians all belong to a group or a genus called the Brachycephalias, members of which are up there with the world's tiniest known terrestrial vertebrates. Their thumbnail size is not without consequence, as it has led to various changes in body structure, such as a loss of toes and fingers. Although some of these species are rather drab in appearance, blending in with the brown of the tree trunks and dead leaves, several display conspicuous coloration patterns that are associated with the presence of a highly potent neurotoxin in the skin. Whew, little teeny tiny frogs. I like me some little teeny tiny frogs. Oh, there's more to that story at iflscience.com, but I had to shorten it. Time constraints, you know.
Yeah, we're so constrained.
TVruckus.com. I think this will be your favorite story of the night, Chris.
No, why is that? Why is that, Steve?
I don't know. Let me read it and we'll find out. Fans of Animal Planet's squatchy hit series Finding Bigfoot.
They have those.
Groove. Yeah, there is a series.
No,
on TV.
No fans.
Oh, fans. They used to. I think a lot of them left, but anyway, they're back with a 2-hour season premiere.
They got tired of seeing an allegedly fucked up Bobo all the time.
Allegedly.
I'm going to say allegedly to protect myself.
Oh, yeah. And I said allegedly, too. You heard me. I might have put a little question mark behind it, but I said it. Anyway, last week there was a 2-hour season premiere. This week, I hear they're in Florida, Chris. I wonder what they could be doing down there. Last week, Bigfoot Field Research Organization President Matt Moneymaker, researchers James, I use the term researchers loosely when it comes to James
I use the
Bobo
term
Fay,
douchebag.
and Cliff Berkman and field biologist Renee Holland investigated in the heart of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil.
I said it before, I'll say it again. She's fucking hot.
Yeah, she is. They didn't find anything. I added that.
No?
No. Tonight, though, Finding Bigfoot team is in Florida to meet with local Bigfoot expert Stacy Brown Jr.
Can you amend that fucking story?
I can't amend what's written in black and white, Chris. It says the Finding Bigfoot team is in Florida to meet local Bigfoot expert Stacy Brown Jr. How would you like me to amend that?
They're just there to meet. They're just there to meet a gentleman. No, he's not. They're there to meet a redneck.
I don't even know if he. Isn't that an insult to rednecks? Anyway, they're at the notorious Bigfoot spot, Mayaca River State Park. While there, the team meets with witnesses who share a spooky video of a suspected Bigfoot near the Mayaca River, which I believe has already been debunked several times. Also new tonight on Animal Planet is the continuation of the special docu-series, The Last Alaskans. I think I'm going to pick that up instead of the...
Instead of a guy that presented an alligator arm as a fucking primate arm.
Became famous for thermal footage that didn't even belong to him. Yeah,
it was his daddy's.
And but you know, we're picking on the guy, but I'm sure, Chris, in his personal experiences with other people, he's a fine gentleman. Wouldn't you agree? I couldn't even say that with a straight face.
In my opinion, Steve, he's a fucking jackass and a cunthead.
Oh.
That's my opinion.
He's on TV, so he must be the expert that they're looking for tonight. That's my guess. He did that Bigfoot bounty thing, and he won it, so he's got to know what he's talking about, right?
What? He did what?
Yeah, some stupid TV show. That lasted one season and nobody watched.
Yeah. That they doubled up on the episodes to get it the fuck off the air. That one
was too funny.
That they allegedly almost couldn't fucking afford to pay everybody.
That one.
Oh.
That show that everybody who was on thinks they're the most famous person in the world.
That show that I knew who fucking won it months before because of a fucking guy from Las Vegas who couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut. That show.
Well, it wasn't just the guy from Las Vegas that couldn't keep his mouth shut. The guy who won it couldn't keep his mouth shut. Wasn't there supposed to be some sort of like $1 million fine if you said something?
I'm pretty sure everybody signed non-disclosure agreements, and I'm pretty sure allegedly everyone broke that.
I don't think it's allegedly, but it could be.
But it could be. I
Well,
think
if I
we're.
was on the
I think
show,
we're
I'd
gonna
approach
say
the
allegedly.
Allegedly. He's allegedly a douchebag. How's that? Does that cover my ass?
Sure.
Okay. That's the news, Chris.
Thanks. This is some good news.
I particularly like that last story.
This has been the Fortean Slip, episode 77. If you like this shit, hit the like button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Go to the forteanslip.blogspot.com. Check out all of our shit there. There is a plethora. And not just our shit.
Shit. Yeah.
It's all kinds of shit. Check out Dreadfun, youtube.com/Dreadfun.
Thanks, Fred, for the picture, man. That thing was awesome.
Fred is the man. Hopefully, we'll be starting the Fortean Slip 3-way at some point in time in the very near future. Ta-da!
Menage a slip.